Welcome to Spam Filter for Your Brain, bite-sized ponderings on how our thoughts influence our behaviour and our lives, and because we're all connected, how our thoughts impact the world. I'm here to help people reconnect with their bodies and declutter their brains. And I don't believe that we should just magically know how our emotions and our thoughts impact our lives if no one ever teaches us. So let's learn this stuff together. So this week's podcast was a really good little taster of some of the classes and the sessions and the way that we operate things in self-care school. This was just one section of one class that we have, but we actually have 30 different courses in self-care school, and these all are there in a big library for you to dip into whenever you want. But most importantly, we have a group coaching call every week where you get to share what's going on for you and get support with whatever's going on in your life and learn from really incredible humans who are around you doing work on their own stuff. We always learn so much from what other people are processing and their perspectives on things, and it's a really beautiful online space. So if you fancy some more of these kind of tales in your life and sort of applicable analogies, it would be really lovely to see you inside. Please do hop over to selfcareschool.co.uk. What is the next smallest step? What is the tiniest thing that you can do that is going to move you in the right direction? I know that I've mentioned it on coaching calls before, but I really love the old, how do you climb Mount Everest? One step at a time. It really does lean into that idea that it is just one foot in front of the other and off we go. And what is it that is going to keep you motivated and keep you with a sense of joy in your heart when your boots are heavy and they might be leaking along the way? I've mentioned it online, but from 18 to 21, I struggled to walk. I was on and off crutches, in and out of a wheelchair for 3 years. And during that period when I was first on my crutches and I had initially lost some of the use of my arms, and so I was struggling to walk. I'd got the use of my arms back, so I was back on crutches again now and being able to be a bit more mobile. Because I'm Anna, I decided to climb a very small mountain in the Himalayas with my mum for sunrise one morning. And I had been really struggling over that time with my identity as someone who was not mobile and my identity as someone who'd had their career taken away. And on this journey, we'd got up at who knows what o'clock. Let's say it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning to be able to get into the mountains to watch sunrise over the Himalayas. And it was a tricky journey for me. I was in a lot of pain and I was absolutely determined, and I needed more time than everybody else to get up this mountain. Obviously, there was a level of rockiness about the terrain that I was unused to, and the altitude means that the air is a lot thinner and it was setting off my asthma. It was quite hard to breathe. And so everybody went ahead and I was having a lot of thoughts about how I was being left behind, and wasn't this a great analogy for, what was going on with me at the moment. And just as the sun started to rise over the mountains, I got within sight of the peak and I looked up 200, 500 metres above me, and all I could see was yabbering tourists who I can remember it feeling like a flock of crows. It was just noisy and people snapping cameras. It was back in old analogue days, and people chatting and busy, and there was quite a bit of litter on the path, and there was a hut just where I had paused for breath, and I was just taking stock of what I was walking into. And out from behind this hut came these 2 little kids, and they really wanted to go on my crutches. And so I sat down on a rock and I let them play with my crutches for a bit. And as sunrise was starting to peek over the mountains, I sat there watching these kids play, and I sat there watching everybody else where I'd said that I was going to go. And there felt like a real moment of revelation for me about realising that I didn't have to go to the top. I didn't have to go where everyone else was going just because I said that I wanted to. That's what I said that I was going to do. And there was no sense of failure in not having reached the peak. I didn't need to go to the summit. That actually I was in the right place, having an interaction with two kids who probably by that time, I do recall, were using my crutches as machine guns. It wasn't quite as peaceful as as it all sounded. They were definitely doing that. But it felt like a really, really profound moment for me of realising that I didn't have to push myself to go and do something that I didn't want to just because I'd said that I would. And that only happened because I was slow and taking these small steps and I was behind everybody else. Otherwise I would have been, I think probably the group think of everyone going together would have pushed me into being somewhere that actually wasn't very pleasant for me. So you never know where your journey is going to take you to be part of what you need rather than what you think you want. And I really love that philosophy that life gives you what you need rather than what you've decided you're going to go after. But it is in striving ahead in a direction of something that feels aligned with your heart and your values that you get to discover moments like that, and you get to learn so much more about yourself. And what's really beautiful about having moments where you create a sense of determination towards getting to a goal is that you build and practice and rehearse the muscle of consistency. And consistency is a product of dopamine. And the way that you create dopamine all along the route of trying to get to a goal is you praise yourself for your wins. The tiniest things, you get really good at noticing the stuff that you are doing all along the way. You know, for me up that mountain, literally every step felt like a victory. So this week's podcast was a really good little taster of some of the classes and the sessions and the way that we operate things in Self-Care School. This was just one section of one class that we have, but we actually have 30 different courses in Self-Care School, and these all are there in a big library for you to dip into whenever you want. But most importantly, we have a group coaching call every week where you get to share what's going on for you and get support with whatever's going on in your life and learn from really incredible humans who are around you doing work on their own stuff. We always learn so much from what other people are processing and their perspectives on things, and it's a really beautiful online space. So if you fancy some more of these kind of tales in your life and sort of applicable analogies, it would be really lovely to see you inside. Please do hop over to selfcareschool.co.uk. In case you hadn't heard, I am running a new 3-day little intensive course, intensive with an emphasis on rest. It is called Spring Clean for Your Brain, and it is going to be running at 7 p.m. in the evening for just an hour an evening on Zoom, and it is the 28th, 29th and 30th of April. We're going to be covering subjects like home, hope and happiness, and home, think how to manage all of the chores and the tidying without all of the guilt of feeling like you need to Marie Kondo your life out when that doesn't actually fit with your lifestyle, and also tidying and chores for people with different bodies and different caring responsibilities. Think hope in a world which is really hard to find hope for if you pay attention to the news and you are political and want the best for people. At times like this, it can feel really hard to find a spark of inspiration for the future, and we're going to be looking at that, and we're going to be looking at happiness and how that sits in amongst all of the other sea of other emotions that we can feel about things, and how we can bulk against the idea of toxic positivity being the only answer and actually welcome ourselves into fully rounded lives that feel more authentic to the kind of lifestyles and reality that we live in. We're going to be covering all this over 3 days and really give you a solid framework for you to be able to work on your thoughts and your emotions, to be able to lift you into spring and hopefully carry you well into summer. It's called Spring Clean for Your Brain because I think most of us have some little dusty corners of our brains that probably are giving us a few allergies. So there is a link to sign up in my bio. I'll put a little link in the show notes as well, and there is also, you can just head over to selfcareschool.co.uk and you should find a link for Spring Clean for Your Brain. I would love to see you inside. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast here, I would love to invite you to Self-Care School. Self-Care School is a membership site where we have group coaching calls every week. We have a whole load of courses that you can dip into for whatever suits your needs. We have courses on confidence, body image, timekeeping, how to manage big emotions, overwhelm, loads and loads of stuff in there. You can kind of pick out whatever you want to work on. There is a big library of workbooks, which includes journal prompts and questions for you to be able to apply this work to your own life. And we have the most amazing community where people support each other. We learn from each other, and you get to work alongside people with quite often very different life situations to your own, and we learn so much together in community. If you would like some more of this, please do hop over to selfcareschool.co.uk.